This week, breaking news, the golden handcuffs are coming off. Folks that have 2.5% and 3.5% mortgages, the data shows they're selling. And we're going to talk about just what this means for the Florida housing market. Next, Ron DeSantis has blown another major story. Breaking news, he's got another rebate, another tax break coming. If you are a homesteaded Florida property owner, you don't want to miss this. And by the way, if you're an international buyer considering Florida in the future, this is going to affect you too. We're going to talk about just how that affects Orlando. This week in the news, major sports complexes in separate communities around Orlando, major multi-million dollar, in some cases, 1 billion plus projects coming into neighborhoods near you. We've got major news announced on some new subdivisions breaking ground in the west side of Orlando we're going to talk about. Additional to that, we're going to take a look at what they've announced some major pushback to go against Epic Universe. Is Disney concerned for Universal? I don't know. They announced major discounts. Discount is a word Disney doesn't know or throw around very often. So we're going to talk about just what that means briefly. We're going to talk about some of the news they updated this week on some of their major attractions and what that means for all of us in Orlando, because they've got some park upgrades coming. They pushed some news out about that this week. We're going to round this out by talking about which marketplaces in Orlando have the most price cuts. So if you're curious what's going on in Orlando, you want to stay tuned for that, because we're going to look at some of the zip codes. We're going to go really and dive in. I'm going to show you some data from the back end of a paywall of a very cool program, which will show you where price reductions are happening, as well as where new listings are surging. So with that being said, let's jump into the data. This is the top story with the golden handcuffs coming off. We knew over time that all of these folks that bought in 2020, 2021, and 22, a lot of attribution of the housing market is so locked up because many of the people that have mortgages that are very, very low, they're staying put. There's a lock-in effect called the golden handcuffs. I've got a 2.5% or 3% mortgage, and I would love to move across the street into that bigger house or move down into a smaller house, but my mortgage is so low, and now those interest rates are kind of high. What we're noticing is the trend is slowly starting to shift. It says, and Wolf Street broke the story, as life happens, locked-in homeowners pay off below 4% mortgages. Share drops to the lowest. Okay, so this means 3 to 4% mortgages, 30-year fixed, record low in our lifetime, is now the lowest it's been since Q4 of 2020. And then we're going to talk about the really low shares. By the way, it says conversely, okay, this is the other side of it. The high cost mortgages at 6% plus, those numbers are surging. So the number of people now going into 6.5%, 7% 30-year fixed is changing. And again, I've been pointing this out on the channel. I've been saying, hey, you know what? It's been flat for a long time. I think back in 2022, we saw Jerome Powell come out. He jacks up the interest rates in the middle of 2022, and everybody kind of was like, oh, we went from 3 to 7%. What's going to happen with the marketplace? And the market shuddered for a moment, but then it just went right back to where it is now. And home prices haven't done much. So what happens is this. People that are in these really low mortgages, look at this, the red line right here. This shows from the pandemic era is right around here, and it goes straight up and peaks to where over 65% of folks had less than a 4% interest rate during the pandemic, okay? So look what's happened since. It's now gone down, and over time, 65% of representative number of people below 4% of mortgages. Look at this. Read the story. In Q4, this is the past quarter of the end of last year, dropped to 54.1%. It was a 65% in Q1 of 2022. It's a big shift in just 2 years, or less than 2 years. Now, on the other hand, shares of mortgages outstanding with rates below 3. Okay, so this is the folks with 2.5, 2.75. Like maybe we'll never see that again in our lifetime. Look at this. This is the blue line, by the way. Down here during the pandemic, the 2%ers, 2.5s, 2.75s, it peaked at the 25% line, and it's since dropped almost 20%. So 20% of those mortgages were given up. And by the way, there were already around 7% of the world had one of those mortgages anyways. So it went from 5% to about 25%. So there's a 20% increase, okay? And out of the 20%, 5% of those have been given back. So a quarter of all the increase from COVID era in those low interest rates are gone. Now, next story is DeSantis. DeSantis has thrown a lot of news around in relation to getting rid of property tax. And there's been a variety. I'm going to recap because this is a new one. This was announced Monday. This is something that can be approved this year in legislature and then passed on to homestead full-time primary residents, Florida residents. So you can know that. Okay. Most of what we're talking about has to do with the folks that live in this particular state full-time, not the out-of-towners, not the international buyers who don't live here. But look at this. DeSantis calls for a $1,000 property tax rebate. Okay, so that's a rebate back to the homeowner. Okay, now what has been announced so far? Number one, Ron DeSantis first said, I want to abolish all property tax. That was number one. He said, I just want to get rid of it. And then they said, the world, the media, the left-hand side of the House of Congress at the State House has said, whoa, it's regressive. If we get rid of that, we have to tax sales or whatever else. So there's been a counter narrative, but there's not actually been an announcement from the governor on if he abolishes all homestead tax, where we will collect that from. Okay, so there's really not a plan, but he just is kind of have as a background announcement to get rid of all taxes in general. And in this story, which this was something new, they actually say that he's trying to eliminate them all. This is the first I've heard of this. The goal of eliminating all property tax, according to the governor, is 2026. Okay, so now he's got a working math of like, okay, this is a deadline, a goal that I'm trying to hit to basically get rid of all of it. Now, I also want to share this. In the meantime, if you saw one of my most recent updates, we have a bill already active in the State House of Congress or State House for Florida to basically triple up the homestead exemption. And one of the viewers pointed out in the comments of that video, rightly so, they're calling it tripling the homestead. If you listen to that, you're like, tripling the homestead? Well, homestead saves me $600 a year. Tripling it, triple, 3x, 600 savings, $1,800 a year savings. It's not what it means. It's 1/3. It's a 1/3 increase. It's not tripling. It's basically, it'd be more fair to say a 30% increase to what your possible savings are for the triple up the homestead. So there's a possibility. Okay, so let's break it all down. End goal, no property tax. Secondary goal in the state Congress to bump your savings of your homestead from $600 to almost $1,000 per person. Okay, so that's $1,000 savings for the homestead person. $600 of it you already have if you're here in Florida, it already exists. So they're bumping that up. This is $1,000 rebate. Don't want to bury that too much further, but let's jump through the news real quick. Rebate must be approved. Okay, now this would reduce $1,000 in savings to the state's Is that fascinating? We have 5.1 million homestead properties that would save. Okay. Florida has around, someone can correct me in the comments, I'm guessing off the top of my head, and I'm probably not far, 24 million people live here. We have 24 million people. Obviously, 24 million is every household. 5 million homestead properties. Going to save $1,000. Now, I don't necessarily feel good about this, and I'm not anti-DeSantis, but it says, I want Canadian tourists and Brazilian tourists subsidizing the state and making it so affordable, so Florida residents pay less taxes. That's okay. So Orlando's #1 migration increases are coming international. Okay, so the majority of our inbound residency and a lot of our home buyers is international. So that's not beneficial for him to say, hey, we're going to shift all of our tax burden away from our local homeowners and pass it to international. Tell me in the comments how you feel about all of this. Do you want to see property tax completely abolished in place of probably a sales tax? Do you want your revenue? We all have to pay. Do you want your revenue to come from sales tax? Basically, what you want to pay when you buy something in the store, or do you want it to come out of your property? Okay. For an Orlando taxpayer who has a home of $300,000 tax valuation, this would mean a savings of 19%. So they're saying on a $300,000 tax valuation. And by the way, if they're saying that's tax value, that probably means market value, $500,000-$600,000 house. Okay, so tax value and property value are different. They're not the same. So property value in the market, if you have a tax valuation, is usually a little bit less, 30, 40, 50%. There's no fixed amount that I could give you, but usually, in this representation, it'd be like a $500,000 house. Okay. So that's that. Okay. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments. Do you want to see tax scrapped in Florida? You can see that is what the governor is after right now. Winter Garden ponders a deal for a $300 million mixed use project. Okay. Interesting. This is a 5,000 seat soccer stadium in the works. Look at that. So that's a soccer stadium. This is the overview. I'm going to show you, actually, I'll just tell you where this is. This is actually at the corner of Plant Street and 429, East Plant. Okay. We're going on the way towards the freeway. This is a cow pasture right now. Okay. And that's what they're thinking. And the commissioners are struggling with the deal, but let's read further what they're planning on putting there. So Winter Garden commissioners are skeptical about the proposal to build a $300 million mixed-use sports district, but agreed to kick off the discussion. Okay, so here's what happened. The commission voted 4-1 to negotiate with a company to potentially partner on the project, which would be anchored by a 5,000-seat soccer stadium and could bring more housing and a convention hotel and much-needed recreational facilities to the city. A conceptual plan calls for 281,000 square feet of commercial, 375 multifamily, 100 senior living units, 53 townhomes. So there's be 53 townhomes sold, kind of exclusive living arrangement, and a 5-story hotel with 160 rooms, 20,000 square feet of convention space. Project would also include 40 second floor live work units, above ground floor retail. So ground floor retail. So again, you're going to have this. The goal is to bring this. And again, oh, actually, here's a good map right here. Plant Street. This, by the way, is that other pasture across Plant. There's an eagle's nest there, or there used to be. People are always eagle watching right there. But this is just a cow pasture right now. And again, there's a lot of debate. Residents aren't happy because they think the traffic's going to get real bad. The commissioners are concerned because they're like, if you put a 5,000 seat stadium in here, where are people going to get in and out of this? Okay. And honestly, we already have 2 miles away. Ocoee is getting close to a $1 billion sports complex of their own. If you've seen the Dynasty project, I mean, it is, again, this is an AI generated image on the article, but I mean, it's basically a massive mixed use sports complex. I mean, I guess going the soccer direction is smart. They're doing different types of fields. What do you think? Does Winter Garden need this? Does West Orlando need massive amounts of complexes for sports and things of that nature? I mean, it's going to add another kind of downtown vibe on this side, which is, I mean, it will look nice down on that side. I mean, it would be add to kind of plus things up. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Look at this. Claremont is getting one of their own districts, and this is moving forward. This was first announced about a year ago, and there wasn't too much noise about it. But this is Claremont's Lumberyard District preps for first phase. So look at the story. By the way, I'm going to show you where this is. This is right in downtown Claremont. This is in Victory Park, right on the lake, right off of the downtown area. This is going to look interesting. Let's see what it is. So Atlanta-based developer Pendler has purchased the multifamily site in downtown's Claremont mixed-use Lumberyard District next to Victory Point Park and the South Lake Trail. Now, they paid a little over $1 million an acre for 7.2 acres. The lumberyard will be named as its status, because it's historically it's the site of a lumber mill, is expected to take place in 2 phases. The first phase will include 262 apartments across 4 multifamily buildings. The second phase will include a commercial construction of mixed-use and live-work buildings, along with 130 dwelling units and a 2-story parking garage. Now, here's the real centerpiece, and this is the coolest part, I think, of the story that most of you probably agree, is there's going to be a 55,000 square feet set aside for non-residential use within the district. It's going to be called the Sawmill. Okay. Now, I think it'd be cool if they did a little more of this and a little fewer apartments. Okay. You tell me what you think. But this is going to be an open air. They're going to have see the top side, open air bar looking out over the lake. Downstairs, it actually says there's going to be entertainment, like an arcade is actually written up. It said it'll serve as an entertainment center for arcade games, food, beverages, and music. It seems like expensive rent for an arcade, but let's see what they actually produce. Let me show you this on a map. So if I fly over to where this will be, okay. So let me show you this. So this is the bottom of Lake Mineola South. Okay, you have downtown Claremont all right here. You have the waterfront park on this side, and you have Victory Point here. So basically what's being proposed, let me flip this around and just move. So we're going to go back to the lake and look back. Okay. So the lumber yard's here. Okay. So essentially this is going to front, I think even right up here. Some of this will go to it and all of this and kind of going back. I would say this is southwest, all this area right here. So this is what they purchased and that's what's in the works. What do you think? Claremont need it? Good plan for more downtown. I think my only thing is I would love for them to have put more like community stuff. Like I can go to the lake, I can walk around. It feels like they're limiting how much kind of like commercials, because you're near the lake. You're a few blocks from the lake. It's more apartments, I guess. I don't know. What do you think? All right, Groveland. Next up in the news, and I'm not picking on the West. Most of the news this week broke for the West. A lot of growth is in the Claremont. We're talking Winter Garden, talking Groveland, talking Ocoee. This is where it is, folks. I'm not picking on the West. If we had something else to talk about in the East, I'd talk about it. But Taylor Morrison is building a new subdivision in Groveland. Look at this. So this is right off of the 27 and the Turnpike. Okay, so this is actually just south of the intersection there. They're starting 115 acres. It's going to have 217 homes. It's going to have decent sized lots, folks. Looks like around 9,000 square foot lots, 70 feet by 130s and 60 feet by 150s. That isn't too shabby for Central Florida. They're going to have a 3,000 square foot clubhouse. Before we jump into the next story, let me show you where this is in Groveland, because a lot of folks have been asking me, hey, Jared, what's going on in Groveland? Like, what is there to do in that area? Take a look at this. So the area, let me reset to north. The area that we're talking about, you have the Turnpike jump off right here. 27 is right next to the Turnpike. You have Lake Wilson. Is it Lake Wilson? Yes. Lake Wilson road comes down here. This is all Trilogy. If you're familiar with this area, if you're not, you got a big, beautiful, active adult community that was developed a long time ago by Shea Homes over the past 20 years, in fact, and a lot more construction coming down here. So they're just filling this out to the north. Knowing Taylor Morrison, they build some pretty nice homes. So this is not going to be, I think for the area, this is going to be a bigger price tag than much of the real estate that's already here to the south. Save Trilogy, except for Trilogy. Maybe Trilogy has some competitive, bigger numbers. But I think it's going to be a very beautiful product. All ages for Taylor Morrison, not going to be age restricted. Tell me in the comments. You looking for Groveland? Does Groveland sound interesting even with Taylor Morrison building a subdivision there? Okay. What do you think? Walt Disney World cuts ticket prices. Walt Disney World is not a discounter on any level, and they're letting kids in for free this summer. Tell me, is this a statement? By the way, in the comments, have they ever let in kids free that you know of? Is this I have not seen this recently. But this week they announced, this is breaking news, half price tickets for kids ages 3 to 9. I'm sorry, did I say free? That was incorrect. Disney's gonna sue me. Oh, don't tell them. All right, so theme park, half price. Just not free. It was discount. Half the price. So half the price, 3 to 9. A lot of people go to the park in that age group, and they're giving them a big break. Plus, besides 50% off, other family-friendly discounts and entertainment. And here's the deal. Half-price kids tickets are valid through September 20. They are literally cutting the price, and this is 50% is valid on 3-day tickets or longer. So you got to be on a few days stay. You're going on vacation there. And that's going to be from May 27 through September 20. And I got to tell you, I'm not surprised by this, because last year, and I was saying this on the channel, people were like, are you serious? Last year through the summer, it was quiet for Disney. Like, summer is a time when locals go, I'm not going there. Like, we live here. We can choose when we want to go. It's hot out and the lines are even longer. Like, no, we went many weekends last summer. And I remember like Magic Kingdom being okay, like crowd wise. So clearly it's a sign to me that Disney does not want to have a repeat of last season. Look at this. And by the way, this is a press release from Disney this week. Okay. A little bit of puffery, a little bit of news, but we're going to talk about it. This is the progress for their theme parks, the top things that they're in the middle of right now. The newsiest bits that they broke is the upgrades are coming to Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin. Okay, so Magic Kingdom's going to shut that one down soon. They're going to get new guns, new cars, new interactivity. That's still open, by the way. I was there yesterday. Lines were very reasonable. Very reasonable. It was empty. Like, it was not that busy. Tiana's Bayou was like 40 minutes. The rest of the park, you could go, like Peter Pan was 35, 40 minutes. Tell me, are you noticing Disney's lines seeming a little shorter at times? Okay. Seems like, it's surprising to me because you would think we're in spring break. I'm seeing a lot of buyers calling me that are in town. Like, I'm visiting, I need to go look for houses and things of that nature. But it doesn't seem like it's materializing. Universal seems busy. Just curious. I'm not bashing Disney. Obviously, I go visit there myself. Look at this. Disney's Animal Kingdom. They dropped theme park. Visible work has begun to transform Dino Land into Tropical America. So they're going to include Encanto, retheming the dinosaur ride to Indiana Jones. That's coming soon. And then they're also changing It's Tough to Be a Bug to Zootopia. Better Zootogether. Better Zoogether. Sounds fun, guys. Opening day in March. It closed in March 16th. All right, so they're working on that. They said it's really great. I'm not going to talk about that. Epcot Test Track is coming this summer. That's exciting. That's the one I'm most excited about. Tell me you want to see Test Track. Going to have some retheming. They're going to have some opportunities for you to see the World of Motion. By the way, look at interest rates. 30-year fix is down to 6.6%. It is 0.10 of a point below a month ago. It is almost half of a point lower than a year ago. Recent data, I looked since January, mortgage applications are up. People are getting back out there and qualifying. Almost 10% above what January was. Mortgage is increasing in terms of people going and applying for mortgages. Refinances are off the chart high right now. So refinance activity is like 50-60% higher. And obviously, why wouldn't it be? Because mortgage rates are down almost half a point. So people bought the house and dated the rate, and some of them are getting rid of the rate. Meaning they fell in love with the house, and then they are now getting a lower interest rate as a result of them coming down. But let's take a look at the housing market. This is the most recent news from the Orlando market. This is the entire Orlando metro area, which really encompasses all the way from Volusia County, all the way down to bottom of Osceola County, from as far west as the edge of Orange on the east, and all the way to South Lake on the west. You can see this is the most recent month that we have on record, which is now about 40 days old. But I'm going to break into some new data in here in a second, so just bear with me. I just want to show you pricing. Price on average, okay, for the metro, up 7%, 6.8, okay? Everybody's like, I hope it's dropping. It's not. Look at this. Median sell price is still really flat. So median, by the way, median is the more safer metric. Median sell price is not average. It basically evens out. If you have a bunch of lower end trades in a single month, or you have a bunch of higher end trades, median is the safest way to look at price. It's 1.2% positive. It's just bumping along. Okay. But let's take a look at some specific data that I think you might be interested in. Price cut percentages. Okay. Now you're going to have to zoom in on the screen. I'll probably just kind of go north to south just so you can see it. But let's say the upper half of Orlando. If you see red, that's a lot of price cutting. And again, keep in mind, don't get excited if you see one zip code that you're looking at. It's like way high. And if you're a seller, don't jump out the window if you see all of the price cutting around you really high for a given month, because it's bumpy. Some months there's adjustments. Some people adjust at the same time. Okay. But take a look at this. So in the picture, we're north. This is Longwood. So Longwood 32779 is up 40%. By the way, Jared, what is a normal price cut? Depends on each zip code, but most of the time it's 20%. It's around 20%, 20, 25. If it's above 25%, there's a chance it's a little elevated for the area. It just means people there started prices too high. They're having to readjust. Okay. Or maybe they started really high and it's been a long series of adjustments. But you can see here, this is 32750, another Longwood zip. Both of them are high. Longwood's a beautiful area. You know, it's just, there's times when you start to see some of them run the prices a little hot and they have to bring them back down. Sanford, 32771, 38% in amount of, these are high amounts of price structure. You're going to, typically you go 35, 40%, you're going to see some motivated sellers. Lake Mary, 39%. Southern Sanford, 26.9, which is not too high. Oviedo remains hot, 25.9%. Castleberry, 38.8. Boom. What do we got? One of the zips for Winter Park, 32792, 29.5. 789, which is one of the hottest zip codes in the marketplace, 27%. Not very high. And the reason why, they don't have inventory surge. So they kind of stay static. All right, you can see if you're in the market on these areas, Wedgefield's at 33.8. The east side of Orlando, 37.7% and 828. 826 is only 15%. 825 is 26%. 817, I'll let you kind of see. Look at some of the downtown zips. We got 803 at 34%. 807 at 47.8%. 806 at 41.8%. Raul, are you watching this? 32812, 43.6. Gives you an idea of where we started. Where's 804? Okay, look at College Park, 45.7%. Big times. Pine Hills, 29.9. 818. Next to that, 35%. Ocoee, 36.5. Man, big time. These are big numbers, folks. Again, you're seeing a little bit of the beginning of this year. January, we had a lot of new listings surge. A lot of new listings hit the market. And all of a sudden, there has to be an adjustment. Some of those get picked off really fast. And some people go, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen. And they start reducing. Look at Conway, 43.8. 806, we already talked about that one at 42%. 839, 31.4. 32809, so we're in Sky Lakes. We're heading down OBT. 819, Dr. Phillips, 35.7%. Moving towards, let me just pull back and make sure you can see what you want to see. Horizon West Winter Gardens, 33.5%. Windermere holding steady like old school Winter Park, 24%. Same with 836, 20%. You're starting to kind of get in the green. You know, like, oh, we're starting to see some deals, possibly still a little low. I mean, again, you can see kind of where the trend is. 3474. I'm surprised by that. This area right here has a lot of inventory in it. 34747, 24%. Interesting. So you have 1,400 listings, 344 with a price cut. Interesting. All right. Let's stick with the South. You can see St. Cloud, 30%. Kissimmee's not very high. This is wild to me. 21%, 24%. Look at Osceola. This is amazing to me. This is interesting. What is going on in Osceola? Are they picking off the listings? Listing inventory down there? Tell me in the comments. You seeing fewer signs in the market? Going back out west, give Claremont a look. South Claremont, 30.4% and 714. 71's 32.7. Groveland, 35%. Again, just giving you an idea. This is a lot. There's a lot of price cutting. We're heading out of the winter into spring. A little bit slow, kind of picks up as we get forward. I imagine we'll start to see some of these numbers drop a little bit. Let's take a look at where listing counts are high year over year, okay? So this is a 1 month snapshot, okay? This is most likely March numbers, okay? Look at Lake Mary's, 42% more. Just to give you an idea, last year, the same month, yeah, it is March, 56 listings hit Lake Mary. This year, 80 listings hit Lake Mary. Okay, so remember, we saw Lake Mary had a big number price cut. Why? They got supply hitting the market. A little bit more. Look at this. These had big price cut numbers. Look at the correlation. Last year in March, in Longwood, in 779, 52 listings hit the market. This year, almost 70 hit the market. You're seeing that reaction. You're seeing people go, oh, so what's happening is there's 14, 13. These aren't big numbers year over year. This is 766, 150%. What is this? 766 is Chuliota, right? Or Geneva. Which one? You tell me in the comments. Oviedo 13. So these stable markets these clear ones, they're not putting a lot of listings out over last year. But you had Castleberry up, almost 22% more listings, which isn't a ton more, but you're seeing a market reaction. Old side of Windermere, I should say old side. You tell me in the comments, what side of Winter Park is 32792? It's beautiful, yes. But how would you characterize it? 46% increase. Big listing jump. Look at 789. 27% less listings. I bet you Windermere is the same. Windermere actually had a 27% climb. So those are markets that are very stable. They don't see a ton of, you don't see big time listing climbs. Ocoee's up 40%. Another market where we saw large price cuts. And you'll notice there's a correlation. Look at the downtown areas. So a lot of folks are interested right now in 804 with College Park. Look at that. 32 listings last year hit the market in March. 48 hit the market. Again, maybe this is part and parcel to the opening story. People with the low mortgages, like, hey, it's time to go. Look at 803. 24 listings hit the market last year, 44 hit the market this year. 807 is pretty flat. Remember, this is just 1 month. So next, Azalea Park, the following month, you might have a big listing spike. But this gives you a moment in time to look at, okay? So heading down the east, back out. Let's look at Lake Nona real quick. Lake Nona's down, 32832, negative 10. Look at 827. So Laureate Park, 32827, Lake Nona Country Club, up 60%. 40 listings last year, 64 hitting the market this year. Look at the South, 771, 50% more listings. Look at 772, 53% more. Downtown St. Cloud, 75% more. BVL, 44% more. Kissimmee, up 31. Hunters Creek area, right? Is that where we're at? Hunters Creek's even, zeros. Going through the South, Celebration and Airbnb, Reunion, up 18%. Going into Winter Garden, 27.7. So Winter Garden's almost 30%. Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't Winter Garden. That was Windermere. Windermere's up 27%. Winter Garden's only up 12. Okay. Let me see. Did I miss anything on the bottom? You can see Conway, 55%. 806 up 25. Some of these downtown areas are down. Some of them are up. All right. Going towards Montverde, plus 20. Claremont, plus 3. South Claremont up 76%. Holy cow. Look at that. Same month last year, 52 homes on the market. This year, 92 homes on the market. There might be some new construction added on that. So, but I have a feeling more or less that's just people deciding to sell. Jared, what is that? At South Claremont, that's going to be a mix of, there is going to be some new construction added in here. Meaning builders are dumping listings into the system in that area. But then you have some short-term rental market going towards Davenport there. All right. That is it. Mineola's down. Down in Howie and Ostatula. Nobody's probably watching from there. Mount Dora, tell me if you are watching from there. 57% up in Mount Dora. North of Popka, I think we're at right now. North of Popka is negative 44%. Dang. South of Popka up 23. All right, that's the mix. So that's it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions for next week's Week in Review. I will be back here most likely the same day or a day early, day later. Let me know how you like this format, and we'll talk to you in the next one.